So it's time for me to give you a rundown on some of our national and international stories for this Friday morning. And as always, I'm not going to have enough time to give you the whole story, or well, I'll give you the headlines, of course. I'm not even going to get all the headlines today because there's so many of them. You want more? I do a 30-minute version that I email audio only to my subscribers at radiofreespeech.com. The Trump administration has apparently eased sanctions on the Russian intelligence agency ordered by President Obama last year. However, Trump insists that he hasn't eased anything. This despite the fact that Russia says, yeah, you have. And the companies that are being allowed to do business now are getting their fees paid by the government. A man kidnapped 2 young children from his former partner, stole her car, and then drove it directly into a crowd in Munich and severely injured 2 pedestrians. It's not a great way to start a weekend. Romania is in turmoil right now. Some protests in Bucharest have now spread to a number of other cities at the largest protests they've seen since the fall of Ceausescu. In Israel, a little bit of worry over Iran's ballistic missile test. The ambassador saying he'd like to engage a number of other countries on what's going on. It has them very nervous. Meanwhile, Washington, D.C. apparently not ruling out a missile strike in response to the missile tests in Iran. Iran has responded by slamming the so-called provocative warning by the U.S. Donald Trump said, we're putting you on notice. Iran is basically saying, neener. Border authorities are being urged to comply with U.S. courts to not enforce the immigration ban. A number of them are not complying with the order to not comply. We'll talk about that in my commentary today. Apparently, the U.S.-Australia refugee deal that was reached between the Turnbull, that's the Prime Minister in Australia, and Obama, is now in jeopardy. Trump, in his worst call of the day with the foreign leaders, ended up actually hanging up on Turnbull. A nun in Spain has received death threats for suggesting that Mary was not a virgin. Basically, what she came down to is like, hey, look, she was married. She probably had sex with her husband, especially since Jesus had other brothers and sisters. She got death threats for it, and she's came forward afterwards to say, look, I'm really sorry if I caused anyone any consternation, but you are intentionally twisting my words. Marine Le Pen, the leader of the right wing in France, candidate for president, has promised that if she wins the presidency, she will hold a vote, a Frexit referendum, just like the Brexit thing that's going on right now. So she has promised that France will also leave the European Union if that's what the people want. They'll have a referendum if she wins. In UC Berkeley, I don't know if you heard about this, Wednesday night, Milo Yiannopoulos, the right-wing gay commentator who works for Breitbart, he was supposed to give a talk, and there was a protest that broke out. They started lighting things on fire. It ended up having to call the riot police, tear gas the whole bit. A full-blown riot like we haven't seen since the 1960s at UC Berkeley, and in response, President Trump has threatened to cut off funding for the entire university. And the last story we have time for to mention today has to do with what is going on right now in the rest of Europe in terms of the military buildup. The question has been asked, is NATO on the market? How much for ammo? Basically, what it comes down to is this, is that there was a promise given, not sure if it was actually signed or anything enforceable, but a promise that NATO would not expand eastward as the Soviet Union broke up. Obviously, NATO has been expanding eastward. And now the question is, well, how much farther is it going to go? Is it up to the countries involved to say, yes, I want to be a piece of that military-industrial complex pie? Anyway, you can read about that at Pravda. Check it out. The links are all at my website, radiofreespeech.com. You like what I'm doing? Consider buying a subscription. You get the 30-minute version emailed directly to you. Or you can also become a Patreon patron. You'll find the link right over here somewhere. Thanks.